Hey everybody, welcome to Three in the Chamber. With me as always is my wife Jewel and Jaggs. And so for those of you that don't know us, we are the management staff over at Airsoft. And basically what we're going to cover tonight is elite teams. And when I say elite teams, what I'm talking about is not the teams that train together and practice hard, or the ones that are exceptionally good. I'm talking about you just cannot stop looking at the camera to see what I'm doing. That's awesome.
I can see you, because we have a screen in front of us right now. I can actually see him talking. So
break the fourth wall.
Break the fourth wall. Yeah, fourth wall. Tell Bob again. So, all right. So anyway, when I say elite teams, what I'm talking about are the guys that go out there that, for lack of a better term, are operator enough. And this isn't the guys that spend the money on their gear to look cool. This isn't the guys that like to pretend to be special forces, because we all do. I'm talking about the guys that go out there. They dress the part. They have all the best gear. Mm-hmm. They're actually capable. They're capable players, but their attitude, and forgive me for saying this, absolutely effing blows. Okay, we're talking about the guys that have taken the game. Part of their MilSim experience is to bark at other soldiers, or other players. My bad. See where I'm going with this? My mind's going. The ones that are there to bark at other players. Yeah. The ones that are win at all costs. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to just talk to you about, honestly, what we think about it
as field owners.
As field owners, and what we see.
I'm going to give you a little insight.
And what we see as the potential problems for games. Because a great game can be ruined by a team of three. I can't say jerk-offs.
One guy.
One
guy
can ruin
the game. I've watched it happen.
We've seen it. So I'm going to start with Jaggs, because he always likes to be quiet. And so this is probably about a 10-minute video.
Because he's that guy that ruins the game.
But see, I figure if we let Jaggs talk for the first 2 minutes, then you can have the other.
You're going to be lucky if you get 2.
Anyway, speak. When you're out there on the field, because you do a lot of our photography, you see more of the game than probably any of the staff on the field. Because Jules doing control, I'm either out there yelling at a ref or not. I'm either out there trying to manage the refs, or I'm back in control with Jewel trying to keep the game on track. So you see most of the games. And you've seen the FPS days where we've had the operator, or the elite operator, come out and ruin that game. And you've also seen the MilSim side of it. So go, Jaggs. How quick does it happen, and what do you see when it does happen, and how does it break down?
Extremely quickly, because, I mean, when you get one person's feelings hurt, they get pissy and moany, and they start pissing and moaning at the other person, that just goes da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And also, unfortunately, these guys, I mean, basically a polished turd is a polished turd. It's no matter what you do to it. I mean, a jerk's a jerk. If a person wants to yell at you, they're just going to yell at you either way. And when a person yells at you for doing something like playing Airsoft, which is a game, you kind of take the offensive to that, and that kind of just ruins your mood, even though you're trying to have a fun time.
Yeah, I think that's right. And this is what we talk about in briefing, too, with cheating. It takes, one guy, right? First, it's one guy that doesn't want to call his hits. Then the guy on the other team that's kind of like there on the fence with the attitude is like, well, if he's not going to call it, I'm not going to call it. And that guy might have 3 guys behind him that are shooting at that one guy that's now not calling it because of the first guy. Yeah. And then they're like, dude, he's not calling his hits, so why should we? Now you've got 4 to 5 people that are just not calling hits. It starts with 2, then it goes to 4. Then when those 4 are just like not doing it, right? Because now the other team's shooting back. They're like, we're not calling it either. Then you have 8 guys. And so on and so forth. It's like exponential.
Exponential growth.
So I think with attitudes, and we've seen it. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just tell a little story.
Okay. There
was a player. I'm not going to name anybody. There was a player, and we were having a really great game, and it was getting towards the end of the day. This player in question was shooting from behind cover. He got lit up by somebody across the field with a saw. Right? Across the field. So he sees a little kid, and this kid has a pistol. You remember this, because we all had to respond to it. This kid has a pistol.
Harsh.
And when I say kid, I'm not talking about like 16, 17, because I'm old enough to sit there and call all of you guys kids. But I'm talking about, like, the kid was, like,
12.
13.
But he had to be 13.
Yeah, he had to be 13.
So,
he was like 13,
but he looked
14.
like he was tiny.
He was this tiny guy.
Little kid.
And this guy who weighs...
He's there with his dad.
Yeah, and this guy who's about my height and actually has more weight on me than I do just comes barreling at this kid, screaming and yelling profanities. Yeah. That kid, I've never seen him back. And we had to get... it took 6 refs to pull it apart. Then there was stuff going on in the staging area, and everybody at the end of the day kind of left with a, what the hell was wrong with that guy attitude? And it was a bad day for everybody. I mean, it was a great game up until the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, everybody had a great
And it ruined everything. So, Joel, what about you? I mean, you've seen these guys too come back into game control or the staging area.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
what?
grumpy.
Yeah. I got a couple words of advice. First and foremost, check your baggage on your way into the field. Like, if you've got home issues, you got problems at home, you don't come to the airsoft field to take those out on people. That's not the place to be dealing with your problems. If you need to talk to your family about issues you have, maybe you should consider if that's the weekend that you really should play. If you're that upset, maybe that's not the time for you to be at the field. The majority of people, I would say probably 99% of people that come out to the field, the reason that they're there at an airsoft field to begin with is to have fun. There's always that one guy. If you let that guy bother you and you don't tell a ref, you don't tell anybody what's going on with that guy, it's not just you that pays the price for not saying anything. It's everybody pays the price for not saying anything. And I'm not trying to encourage people to tattle or dime each other out or nothing like that. It isn't about that. If somebody's really having a hard time emotionally on the field, we would prefer to take them off the field so they don't have to deal with that.
Yeah. And that's true. I mean, it can ruin it. But the thing that bothers me, and I think this is how do I put this? I'm starting to notice a trend as some people that had poor sportsmanship back in the day, and I mean like maybe 3-4 years ago, are now coming into adulthood, right? These were young players that were brought up wrong in the airsoft industry, not at home. This isn't an insult on your mom and dad.
Well, and by wrong, you need to define what you mean by wrong.
When I say wrong is over-aggressive playing. What's the phrase we've heard out there? Shoot until they fall down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
play for pain.
That's ridiculous.
Play for pain is the term that describes people who just keep shooting and shooting.
But see, as they grow up and they get their own jobs and they get their own money, they look like the experienced guys you go to for advice, and they're more than happy to give you their. I shouldn't call it advice. It's more of an opinion. They're happy to give you their opinion on why your gun sucks, why your knockoff camos aren't as cool as their real ones, why their London Bridge vest is so much better than a Condor. And I've been, personally, I've been using Condor for 4 years, and those vests are still holding together.
Nobody comes to the airsoft field to get put down by other players.
But those guys that come up, I don't know. It's becoming a trend, and I think and I've seen it a lot actually. I've other fields, they creep out to ARC every once in a while too.
We get one or two.
I mean, we get them out every field, but there is only. When I say a trend, it makes it sound like there's hundreds. I guess
that's true.
I shouldn't say a trend. But there are a few that are coming out more and more.
It's becoming more noticeable because now the sports actually has a couple legs underneath of it.
Well, we had so many great players for a very long time. People who were experienced, people who had great sportsmanship. I mean, we had a large group of people that they pretty much, they would come out to ARC and they knew the field well enough and they knew the rules well enough. And when there was a problem, they'd say, hey, bro, you can't do that. That's not safe. You got to put, you got to do your thing the right way. And it wasn't to be rude. It was just, we had a healthy atmosphere of learning at the field for a very long time. And then we kind of got an influx of players. And this is not to say that they don't know what they're doing. There's a lot of people out there that have played at other fields, and they know exactly what safety rules are pretty standard at any field. But every field that I know of is don't verbally abuse or physically abuse other players. It doesn't matter where you play. If you're playing in your backyard, you're still going to be up on assault charges. Right. You can't do that crap. So,
well, I kind of liken it like this. I mean, and airsoft is honestly, it might be a sign it's becoming a sport.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm gonna use basketball for an example, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've all played a little bit, right? You got your kids to play. I know you play. Don't even sit there and pretend that you haven't ever played.
Everybody's played some sport.
So you got your kids, or even dirt lot baseball, right? So you got your kids, and everyone plays, and they try to win. They try their very best, but at the end of the day, they all go home and have a chocolate milk or whatever the heck, right? Like that's when you're younger, right? Okay, so then when you
8.
Yeah, 8. That's what I'm saying. When you're younger, then you move into like high school and collegiate sports, right?
Right.
So high school and collegiate sports, you're cool enough on and off the field. You'll talk to the younger guys, like the guys that are trying to make the team, or your little brothers, or the kids that are on the playground, right? And everyone's really cool with that. At that point, right? Everyone's like, all right, this is how we do it, so on and so forth, right? And there's not a problem. Then you move into the pro sports, right? They're nice for the fans, kind of, but when you really think about it, right, they're wrapped up in assault charges, drug charges, other criminal charges, right, against other people, and they kind of become
the stress and the
kind
pressure.
of become jerks.
I think the stress and the pressure of the game gets to them, and they make bad decisions, and it's the same.
But it's the same in airsoft
sport.
because I've watched these kids start out with an AEG and a high cap. and goggles or full face mask, right?
Yeah.
That's all they have, right? And they're out there in their black t-shirt and jeans, and they're like, yeah, I'm a PMC. And you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then that next step, right, is they played 2 or 3 years, right? They get into they have at least a set of multicam at best, but anywhere between
Some kind of camera, yeah.
woodland and multicam, right? Somewhere in there they have either desert or whatever. They have some kind of surplus thing, and they might have 3 friends that are all dressed the same. So now we have a team, right? And then you get those guys that they progress, and as they progress, they go into the Gucci cams, right? You've got high-end multicams, Cryptech,
IR1.
LBX, AORs, all those really cool camouflages, right? And then they get all the high-speed stuff, bump helmets and real chest rigs and Serpa holsters, and they get like all this crazy expensive gear. And I think maybe that might have to, that impression, the guys that you would go to for the advice, they start to become that guy that is verbally assaulting people on the field. I've seen some fistfights, not at ARC, but I have seen some fistfights in the sport.
That's happened.
It's not to say your gear defines you. It doesn't. I've known, like I said, many people that have worn really nice gear, and they were really great people.
It doesn't, but I'm going with that. With that though, there's the mentality of friendly play,
it's not absolute.
competitive play. I'm the best. Get out of my way. Play, right?
Yeah.
And I think that honestly, guys, I guess what I'm trying to get to, and it's the really long way of getting to it, is that your attitude is what defines you, not your gear. We said that already in the video. But once you get to that level where you're awesome or even well known on YouTube, don't forget where you came from. Don't ever forget where you guys came from. You were that noob in sneakers and jeans and a hoodie. At one point, you were that noob. Even if you had the coolest gear, you were still that I don't know what I'm doing guy.
You know what? I'm just gonna share some information with our community so that they know what we go through when we have a problem with the player on a field.
We got about 2 minutes, so.
Okay, well I'll talk about it then. I'll make it quick. Basically, this is what happens at the field. Behind the scenes, you guys don't see it happen.
You shouldn't.
When there's a problem, however big or small, whether it's medical, whether it's somebody needs to leave the field because they're acting inappropriately, whatever the hell it is. The reality is we have radio comms. We know immediately what happened, who did what, and we have to deal with it. And I'm going to tell you right now, typically, when you go to a field as a team, one of the benefits is that you get to always know people that you're at the field with. One of the drawbacks is that when various people on your team decide to act inappropriately, the whole team suffers. Because in our minds, as field owners, when we look at, oh, that team's going to be here today, great. We wait for a problem when it's a problem team. It's not to be mean, but we know what the problems are, and we deal with them every single time we're out at the field. I don't like to see people get that reputation for being a problem on the field. And the only way that you can make sure that that doesn't happen for yourself is keep your cool. When there's a problem, keep your cool. If you have to step out, step out. That way it doesn't get back to us over the radio as a communication where, oh, we need to call PD. That's you don't ever get to come back after that. That's like, hey, you might as well just throw away all of your gear because you're never going to use it again.
And guys, word gets around too because, to be honest with you, one of the players talk, the field owners all talk, and we all get along. If there's a fist fight, and it hasn't happened yet at ARC, thank God. But if there's a fist fight, believe me, I'm on the phone with the other 3 field owners, and vice versa. If there's a problem,
I have handcuffs.
we all talk. But they're not for arresting people.
Yeah, they are. If it ever came down to it and I had to actually detain somebody, you're laughing. It's not funny.
No, I know. I mean, we are both licensed security, and we have in-house.
Why are you laughing about that?
I was just making a silly joke that I should have probably not done. But anyway, we are licensed security. We do have licensed security on the property. And so, I mean, guys, we can make the arrests. We don't want to. But we don't want to threaten you guys. Guys, the point of this whole thing is, and I'm just going to wrap it up with this.
We see your behavior.
Just go out and have fun. Just have fun. That's what it's all about, right? Don't worry about looking cool. Don't worry about being better than the other guy. Go out, play your game, enjoy your game, and challenge yourself. That's all we're saying. So I guess until next time, guys, stay cool on the field, be safe, be fair, and we'll see you out there.
Well, check us out on Facebook. Check our airsoft.com and follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Guys,
Oh yeah, subscribe to YouTube. That's the other one.
subscribe to YouTube.
Yeah.
And we'll be clicking all the stuff
Like
at the bottom. All right, guys, have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon.